What's up, guys? I'm Gunner. Welcome back to the GMoney poker vlog. Playing another early session today. Been getting some questions about why I play so early. Well, today there was 3 tables running at the lodge, and you get a lot of deep stacks and tired players, so I hope that answers that question. I also got some Instagram pictures taken by my buddy Corey. I'm going to be beefing up my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts content, so I needed a legit profile picture, not just one of me walking up the stairs. So definitely check me out on Instagram. Appreciate everyone who's been liking and subscribing. With that, let's get into some hands. There's a roller coaster session today, and we got a lot of hands to get through. Alright guys, time for some cards. I look down at ace 7, 6-2 double suited in the under the gun position. We're playing a bomb pot. The first board comes 7, ace 5, rainbow, and the bottom board comes 2, 6, 5 with 2 clubs. I flop 2 pair on both boards and the nut flush draw on the bottom board. I bet 75, middle position, cutoff, button, and the small blind make the call. So we're headed 5 ways to a turn. It comes a 9 of spades on the top and the king of spades on the bottom. These turns don't improve my hand, and there's a lot of interest in this pot with 4 callers. I check it, and it checks around. The rivers come the 8 of spades on the top board and the 2 of diamonds on the bottom board. I river a straight on the top and a boat on the bottom board. Definitely want to bet for value after the turn checks around. There's a decent chance that my hand could be good on either board, and if there's multiple callers, I can get some value here. So I bet 250. Only the cutoff calls. My opponent chose Jack 664 for a better full house on the bottom, but a worse straight on the top. And we're going to chop this one, but with some dead money in there, I make a small profit. The action's been great so far, but I haven't gotten many interesting hands. I now look down at King 9-3 with 9 high hearts and the hijack. The $20 straddle's on, and the guy who put on the straddle made it very apparent that he wanted to go all in blind. I have kings, and I open pot it to 75. The small blind makes a call. The guy that wants to go all in blind goes all in for 200. It's on me, and the small blind's been making some weird plays and looks like he's tired. So I repot it to 690 to try and isolate. The small blind does make the call, and we're headed to 2 runouts. The first board comes 5, 4, 6, rainbow. Ace of hearts on the turn brings a heart draw, but it doesn't complete with a 3 of spades on the river. The second board comes 5, 7, queen with 2 diamonds, the 6 of hearts on the turn, and the 8 of hearts on the river. I'm playing kings on both. The small blind shows ace jack, king 10, rainbow, so he has a better pair on the top board. Unless the guy that went all in blind can show a better hand than kings on the bottom board, I'm going to chop the main pot and make a profit. He peels his cards slow. He shows 10 of hearts, 10 of spades, 2 of spades, and the 4 of spades. That's not going to do it, and I'm going to take down another small profit. After winning a few chop pots, but missing some flops on other hands, I now look down at King Jack 10-7 with Jack high diamonds and the hijack. Under the gun opens to 15. I make the call in the hijack, but upon checking with PLO solver, I should be folding this hand. According to the solver, I should be potting or folding most of my holdings here versus an early position open. But here we are. Cutoff, button, and the small blind make the call. The big blind now pots it to 105. The initial raiser makes the call. From my work with the pre-flop skills trainer at PLO Mastermind, I know this is definitely a fold, so I make the fold. The other 3 players make the call, and they head to a flop, which comes 6, 8, 9 rainbow. I would have flopped the nuts with a redraw here, so the correct long-term decision results in some short-term pain here, and we're on to the next hand. This game is really good today. I'm nowhere near the big stack with $3,000 in my stack. There's also a new player that sat down at the table. He bought in for $5,000 and is asking some fishy questions like, when do we play the bomb pot, and is it my turn? Hoping to make a big hand here. I look down at ace, queen, queen 3 double suited in the cutoff. The $10 straddle's on. Middle position limps. The low jack makes it 45. The hijack calls, I call, and the small blind calls. It's now in the big blind. This lady's sleeping in her chair, so somebody wakes her up. She checks her cards. She folds. The limper makes the call, and we head 5 ways to a flop. The flop comes queen 5-7 with 2 diamonds. This is a great flop. I got top set. Definitely my favorite hand in PLO. The small blind bets $5. He had been doing this weird play when he was first to act. It folds to the low jack. He raises to 200. It's now on me. The low jack's the fishy player I just mentioned. Definitely want to get more money in here, especially with the flush draw that I don't have. So I pot it to 850. It's back on the small blind. He's tanking. He makes a call. It's back on middle position. He makes a call as well. We're headed three ways to the turn with almost 2,700 in the pot, and I have top set. Come on, dealer. Pair the board. Don't put a diamond out there. The dealer puts out the queen of clubs. I make quads. Let's go. This is a huge pot. I got about 2,200 behind, and both these players cover me. I want to try and get this money in. The small blind checks in flow. The middle position player checks as well. It's on me. I don't want to scare them off. I have so much of this board. I want them to hopefully catch up on the river and find a call. So I check it back. Alright, dealer. Put out the ace of diamonds. Hopefully it gives them aces full. The dealer puts out the three of clubs. It's a blank. The small blind's tanking. Come on, buddy. Just put the money in. After some thought, he ends up checking. It's on middle position. He checks as well. I think the only hands I can find a call here are pocket fives or pocket sevens. So I'm just going to go all in and hope they got it. I go all in. The small blind snap folds. Middle position folds pretty quick as well. Wish I could have won more on this one, but I'll take the $1,800 profit and we're on to the next hand. I'm now up about $1,800 after that last hand. Sitting on 4,800. Let's run it up some more. An action player joined the table. I played with him a bunch, and we're about to get into it here. I looked down at 10-10, 9-6, double suited in the hijack. $10 straddles on. The low jack limps, and I open pot it to 45. The straddle and the low jack call, and we had three ways to the flop. The flop comes 7-10-2, rainbow. I flop top set again. I'm running hot so far. My opponent's check to me. I bet 75, and both players make the call. We head to the turn three ways, and it comes to six of clubs. Not my favorite card, because the obvious 8-9 completes. The straddle now leads for 125. The low jack folds, and I think this player could have definitely turned the straight, but I'm getting great odds to call and try and hit my boat. He might also be making a move and slow down on the river, so I make the call, and we head heads up to the river. Alright, dealer, pair the board again. This is going to be my sun run day. The dealer puts out the three of hearts. That's not it. To make matters worse, the straddler now bets 400. I'd think a little, but I think it's a pretty straightforward fold. I make the fold. After the hand, my opponent says he turned the nuts. I believe it. Nice hand, buddy. I now look down at another big pair. King, queen, queen, 9 with three clubs on the button. There's a $10 and $20 straddle in his hand. The cutoff limps. I pot it to 95. It folds all the way around to the cutoff, who calls, and we head heads up to the flop. The flop comes 2-9-8 with two diamonds. The cutoff bets 100. I think this player could be stabbing with a lot of different hands here, so I make the call, and we head to the turn. The turn comes the queen of hearts. I make top set again, but there is a straight available in jack 10. The cutoff checks it to me. I definitely want to bet for value here, but proceed with caution if I'm raised, so I bet 175, and the cutoff makes the call. We head to the river, and I'm hoping not to see a diamond. It's the five of hearts. That's a decent one. The cutoff checks. He has about 600 behind, and I'm in a weird spot. I think through the hands he could call with. His calling range is mostly lower sets, but I feel like he would have bet those on the turn. It feels like he has a missed draw, or he's trapping me with jack 10. He kind of had a weird tell when he checked the river. I ultimately check it back. In hindsight, I think this is a bit nitty, especially after my opponent mucks his cards when I show. Maybe I could have got more value there, but I'm going to take down another profit here. With one win and one loss in those last two hands, I'm still at about 4,700. I now look down at double suited aces in the hijack. Ace, ace, queen 3, all black. There's a $10 and $20 straddle on. The low jack limps, and I raise it to 100. Both of the straddlers make the call, as well as the low jack, and we head four ways to the flop. The flop comes 5-2-4 with two hearts. I flop the straight, ace through 5. It's not the nuts, but I still have a strong hand. It checks to me, and I know from my PLO mastermind training that this type of board is going to be a check with almost all my range. So I check it, and we head four ways to the turn. The turn comes a jack of clubs. The $10 straddler, who was the action player from a couple of hands ago, pots it to 410. It folds to me. Definitely not folding to this guy, so I make the call, and we head heads up to the river. I'm hoping not to see a heart or a board pair. If that's the case, I'll be prepared to call a bet on the river. The river comes the jack of hearts. That's terrible. It's a board pair and a heart. My opponent now checks it to me. I don't see any purpose in betting here, so I check it back. I table my hand and say I have a straight. My opponent flips his hand, and he has a 3-high flush. He's laughing at me. He said I could have raised the turn or bet the river and he would have folded, and that he was bluffing me. Not even mad about losing this hand to this guy. Nice hand, buddy. There's been some players leaving and some players joining, and we're now 7-handed. I look down at king, queen, 10-8 with 10 high spades on the button. There's a $10 straddle, and under the gun pots it to 35. I call, and the straddler calls, and we head 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes 3, 5, queen with 2 spades. Under the gun pots it for 110. I'm going to make the call given I have spades and draws to 2 pair outs. This opponent's been c-betting a pot size a lot, so I'm skeptical as to how strong their hand really is. The straddle makes a call as well, and we head to the turn, which is the 8 of hearts. I make top 2. Under the gun now pots it all in for 220. It's on me, and I want to isolate, so I repot it to 1100. I think I have the best hand, and if I don't, there's a good chance my spades and my queen outs are live. So I pot it to 1100. The straddler tanks and then folds. We're going to run it twice with the under the gun player. The first river is the king of hearts, and the second river is the 2 of hearts. I table my hand, and my opponent shows ace, queen, jack 3 for the flop 2 pair. Not going to be good enough, and I'm going to scoop this one. I'm chipping up, stack's looking good. Let's run it up. I get another big pair, ace, king, king 5 with ace high hearts in the hijack. Looking to make top set again. There's no straddle in this one. Under the gun and under the gun plus 2, limp for 5. I raise it to 25. There's 3 callers, and we head 4 ways to the flop, which comes 3, 5 queen with 2 hearts. No top set this time, but I have the nut flush draw and an overpair. It checks to me. I bet 75, and all 3 players call. So we're headed 4 ways to the turn, which comes the 2 of hearts. I make the nut flush immediately. Checks to me again. With 3 players in the pot, I'm going to bet big. I make it 400. Unfortunately, all the opponents fold. No more value here, but it's nice to take down another one. Some players leave the game, and we're 5-handed. I look down at king, 10, 10, 8 with king high diamonds on the button. There's a $10 straddle, and I open to 35. The big blind and the straddle call, so we head 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes 7, king, queen, rainbow. I have top pair, but not much else. It checks to me, and I check it back. We head to the turn, which is the jack of spades. This gives me an open-ended straight draw, so when it checks to me, I'm going to bet to apply pressure to my opponents and make them fold out their equity. So I bet 85. The big blind makes a call, and we're heads up to the river. The river comes the 9 of spades, giving me a straight. Even better because I have 2 10s in my hands, blocking other possible straights. He checks to me, and he has about 110 behind. I'm going to put them all in, so I do that. He makes a call. I show my hand. My opponent mucks angrily, and I'm going to take it down. I now look down at weak aces on the button. Ace, ace, 8, 7, rainbow. There's a $10 straddle, and I open to 35. The small blind pots it to 120. It folds around to me. This guy's a short stack. I'm going to put them all in. I repot it, and he calls for 240 total. It's a small pot, so we run it once. It comes 7, 10, 4 rainbow, 6 of spades on the turn, and the 3 of hearts on the river. I got aces. My opponent shows king, king, 5, 3. So he makes a straight, and he's going to take this one down. I had him right where I wanted him, but he cracked my aces. The very next hand is a bomb pot, and I look down at aces again. Ace, ace, 9, 8 with ace high clubs. I'm in the cutoff position. The top board comes 5, 8 jack, rainbow, and the bottom board comes 10, 2 king with 2 clubs. I have the nut flush draw on the bottom. Turns or rivers could also bring an ace and improve me on either board, so I bet 50. The button now pots it to 225. This is the same opponent from last hand, and he has about 500 total. The small blind calls all in for 70. I'm not folding yet. I could even go all in, but I decided to call in this instance. We head to turns, and the top board comes the 2 of diamonds. The bottom board comes the queen of spades. Neither of these improve me, but I don't plan on folding. I check it to him, and he goes all in for 245. I make the call. The rivers come the king of diamonds on the top and the seven of hearts on the bottom. I'm hoping he's just playing one board because my nut flush draw missed. I show my hand and he shows 10-6, 2-2. So he flopped a set on the bottom and turned a set on the top. And he's going to take it down and crack my aces again. This guy to my left cracked my aces twice. Let's see if he can crack my kings. I have king, king, 9-5 with king high hearts in the cutoff. Under the gun and the hijack limp for 5. I pot it to 25. The guy to my left on the button calls, as well as under the gun and the hijack. And we head 4 ways to the flop. The flop comes 10, king, 7 with 2 diamonds. I flop top set again. Top set is definitely better than aces, so when it's on me, I bet 75. The button pots it to 330. Love to see it. Folds around to me. I rejam to put them all in. He calls for 370 more. And we head to 2 runouts. Before the dealer puts out the cards, he says, I just have a set. What do you have? And I say, I have top set. And he says, oh crap. The top board comes the 2 of diamonds and the queen of hearts. The bottom board comes the 3 of hearts and the jack of hearts. I show my hand and he shows ace 8, 7, 7, all black cards. So he had no redraw. And I'm going to win back all the money I just lost to him in those 2 aces hands. Let's go. The lodge is giving away $100,000 in the month of December. The way the giveaway works is every hour they draw a table. And if they draw your table, they fan out a deck of cards. And whoever picks the highest card at the table gets an entry into the drawing. At the end of the month, they go through all the drawings. And whichever card they pick is the player that wins $100,000. They draw table number 2, which is us. We're all going to draw cards. Everyone keeps saying I run good in the comments. Hopefully I can run good here. The guy that draws before me draws the ace of hearts. So I'm going to need the ace of spades and the ace of spades exactly. I draw my card. And I draw a spade with not much on it. But it's the 2 of spades. Don't run good this time. This guy with the ace is going to take it down. And he gets the entry into the 100K drawing. I now look down at ace 10, 9, 9 with ace high diamonds and the hijack. The low jack limps. And I open it to 20. There's 4 callers, and we head 5 ways to the flop. The flop comes good. I flop top set again, but this time it's not top set. It's top boat on 9-3-3 rainbow. Everyone that says I run good is right. Here I am. It checks to me. I'm going to check as well, given the strength of my hand. It's on the button, who bets 65. It folds around to me, and I make the call. We're heads up to the turn, which comes at 2 of clubs. I check it to him again, give him some more rope. It's very likely I have the best hand, unless he has pocket 3s. It's more likely that he just has a 3. So after I check it to him, he bets 150. This guy's been showing interest in the pot, and he could have a hand like ace 3 or 3-2, maybe a rare 3-9 that wants to call a raise. I would have put more money in the pot so that I can get all in by the river. I raise it to 300. I chose the mid-raise size to give him a good price if he does have ace 3 or a hand like ace king jack 3, which has overcards that could boat up. Unfortunately, he folds, so he must not have had much. I wish I would have just called, but I feel like he would have checked back the river a lot. Either way, can't be mad with flopping top boat, and I'm going to take down another one. We're playing another bomb pot, and I have 9-7, 5-4 with 9 high spades in the hijack position. The top board comes 7-2-9 rainbow, and the bottom board comes 4-8-6 with 2 spades. So I flop top 2 on the top board and the nut straight on the bottom board with a spade redraw in case my opponent does have the same straight. Under the gun pots it for 90. It's on me. I could call to invite more opponents into the hand, but this type of hand on both boards could get drawn out on easily with multiple opponents in there. So I repot it to 360. It's back on under the gun. He looks like he's in a tough spot. He almost folds a couple of times, but he eventually goes all in for 990 total. I snap call. We're headed to the runouts. The top board comes the 4 of clubs and the bottom's the ace of clubs. The river's the queen of clubs and the bottom's the king of diamonds. I show my hand and my opponent shows king 8, 7, 6 with king high spades. So he had a better flush draw on the bottom, but only 2 pair by the river. And on the top board, he had the open-ended straight draw that missed. I'm going to take it down and scoop a big profit on this one. Let's go. I've now almost doubled up my initial buy-in of $3,000, and I look down at queen 10, 9, 8 double suited in the small blind. The $10 straddle's on, and there's a few limps before I pot it to 65. The straddle and the low jack make the call, and we head 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes 5-3-10 rainbow. I flop top pair and decide to put pressure on my opponents, so I bet 150. Both opponents make the call, and we're headed 3 ways to the turn. The turn's a 7 of spades, giving me an open-ended straight draw. I want to continue with my plan to apply pressure, so I bet 500. The player in the straddle position thinks for a bit before going all in for 995. It folds back to me. I've got myself into a pickle here. I definitely feel like I should have just checked the flop out of position against 2 opponents with only top pair and no flush draw. But at this point, I feel like I'm priced in to call with my open-ended straight draw. I should have 8 outs to the nuts. I ultimately decide that I have to just call it off. So I make the call. This guy only runs it once. We're going to need a 6 or a jack here. The river comes, and it's the queen of spades. That's not going to do it. My opponent chose 6-5, 4 deuce. So he flopped a wrap and turned the nuts. Not really a hand I expected him to have after I made it 65 pre-flop. But I think this is one of those spots I'm just going to have to take my beating and learn for next time. Nice hand to my opponent. Roller coaster of a session so far, but that's PLO sometimes. I now look down at queen 10-10-5, double suited in the low jack. There's no straddle, and I open to 15. Cutoff and the big blind make the call, and we head 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes 10-6-9 with 2 hearts. I flop top set again. There is a straight available this time with 7-8, but I have sufficient draws to full houses and my flush, if that is the case. It checks to me, and I bet 50 for value. It folds to the big blind, who pots it for 200. I decide to just make the call considering I'm in position, and we're headed to the turn. The turn comes the jack of spades. My opponent now pots it all in for 445. I'm losing to a few straights, but I have outs to full houses and flushes, and if he does have a made straight, I could have chop outs or outs to a better straight with a king or an 8. I make the call, and we run it twice. The first river is the queen of clubs, and the second's the king of clubs. My opponent chose queen jack 10-7 with queen high hearts. He had a worse made hand, but a better flush draw. In this case, I'm going to win the top board, and we're going to chop the bottom board. So I get 3/4 of this pot, going to win another one, and I'm on to the next hand. In this hand, I look down at ace king 5 deuce double suited in the hijack. I open it to 15, cutoff calls. The button makes it 55. The small blind calls. This is definitely a call, so I call, and the cutoff calls as well. We're headed 4 ways to the flop, which comes 5-4-5 rainbow. I flop trips with the ace kicker, but there's 2 opponents behind. I'm going to check for deception, and the flop checks around. We're headed 4 ways to the turn, and it comes the jack of hearts. This doesn't improve my hand, but I still have a strong hand and some deception. It checks to me, and I check it again. The cutoff now bets 100. It folds around, and I make the call. We're heads up to the river, which comes with 3 of diamonds. This 3 gives me a straight, so I'm now beating other ace-5 holdings. I check it to my opponent, and he bets 150. This is a straightforward call, river in the straight. I wish it was a full house, but I make the call. I show my hand, and my opponent chose king 6, 4-4. So he flopped a full house. He gets me to pay him off. Nice hand to my opponent. We're playing another bomb pot, and I look down at ace 8, 5-5 with ace high hearts in the cutoff position. The top board comes 6-4-3 with 2 diamonds, and the bottom board comes 8-4 jack with 2 hearts. It checks to me, and I decide to bet 100 with my nut flush draw on the bottom board and chances to improve on the top. The small blind and the hijack make the call, and we're 3 ways to the turn. The top board comes the 5 of diamonds, giving me a set, and the bottom turn comes the 8 of diamonds, giving me trips. It checks to me again, and given that the diamond draw completed on the top, I'm going to check it back for pot control. We're headed to rivers, and the top river comes the 6 of diamonds, giving me a full house, and the bottom river comes the ace of spades, giving me a full house on the bottom as well. The small blind now leads for 150. It folds to me. He doesn't have much behind, and I have boat. I raise him all in by betting 500. He calls all in for 425, and here's what went down.
Yeah, boat. Boat.
5 full and 8 full.
And 8's full of aces.
But he loved it, and he spent the money to just blow like that. He wanted to go back like all the time. And I'm like, hold on, like save it. a little too special.
Yeah. If you do it all the time, like,
It's not special anymore. And so I kept telling him no, and then finally.
Does that get you excited at all?
if it was a bigger pot. If it was like a 3K pot, I'd be like,
20 beat?
no, not one, nah.
I'm going to take down a nice profit in this one. Didn't get me too excited, but today was a good session. I ended up booking a win of $2,180, almost $2,200. I wish I didn't blunder in the hand with the open-ended straight draw. Would have made more. But it was a good day. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next vlog.